You mentioned stuff about Calvinism. So would you take time to peel back that phrase in Romans 9, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated? How do you rightly divide that in the context of Romans 9, 10, and 11?
Okay, in the context, that's a very easy question. In the context of Romans 9, 10, 11, we are talking about God's choosing Israel, okay? God said, Israel is mine. After the Tower of Babel, he disinherited the nations, and Israel became his particular nation after the Tower of Babel incident. So really beginning with Abraham, that's a do-over, a cosmic do-over. He began, the flood was a do-over.
Yes.
Abraham is a do-over.
A mulligan.
God's grace, that manifests God's grace. Well, in the choosing of Abraham, the other nations were turned over to the gods, small g, of this world, the fallen angels. And we know that the archangel of Israel was Michael, according to Daniel, and that there was a prince of Persia and presumably others that were ruling over areas of the world. And so in Romans 9, 10, 11, all of this is about God choosing Israel. Well, who are the patriarchs? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, now, God chose Abraham, then God chose Isaac, and then God chose Jacob, even though he was not the firstborn. This was not a choosing to salvation. This was a choosing to purpose as patriarch and as head of the nation of Israel. So the argument is that God chose Israel. The obvious question that would be asked in Romans is, well, if God's doing all this for the church, then what of Israel? And Paul again goes into a very lengthy argument, and he says, no, Israel has a future. And he ends the argument at Romans 11, 25, 26, where he talks about there will come a day when all Israel shall be saved, that the purpose of God in relationship to ethnic, national Israel will be accomplished exactly as it was promised in the Old Testament. But if you don't understand, if you don't pull back and see the big argument, then you'll see, okay, well, since Jacob was chosen and Esau was not chosen, that means God chooses some people to salvation and God chooses other people to damnation.
Now you're describing double predestination right there, which is a Calvinistic idea. That's why I mentioned Augustine.
Calvinists.
And Calvin got a lot of his ideas from Augustine.
All Calvinists. I want to cut through the blather.
Yeah.
All Calvinists believe in double inspiration, period.
Inspiration?
Oh, pardon me, double predestination.
Yes.
Double predestination. Double inspiration is the Ruckmanite
thing. That's a different crowd. I just wanted to be clear. Yeah.
Double predestination. And here is why. If you say that God chose some and passed over others, the obvious default to the passing over of the others is that they are lost. By choosing some, you automatically didn't choose others. If I have a box of assorted donuts, which I do not eat on the keto diet, but if I had a box of assorted donuts and there were some sugar donuts, there were some Long John donuts, there were some yeast donuts, there were some chocolate-covered donuts, there were Boston cream, doesn't this sound good?
Wow.
Boston cream-filled donuts, and you told me that I could have 3 but no more, and I'd choose an apple fritter, by the way. I love a deep-fried apple fritter.
I'm there with you.
I love them, and they're large. they're like 2 donuts in one. I like them. But if you chose those, then the ones you did not choose automatically are not going to you. Okay, this is really simple. So every Calvinist believes in double predestination because if you've chosen some, you've rejected others, and that would be a divine decision. Do not tell me you do not believe in double predestination. Well, God chose him, but no, God didn't condemn the others. Well, did God not know what was going to happen to the others?
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yes, and you're just making the point that mainstream or mainline Calvinists would say that double predestination is an attribute of a hyper-Calvinist. And you're trying to say all Calvinists are hyper-Calvinist in the sense of double predestination.
So the only difference among them is how much they talk about it. That's the only difference. Because when you begin with the premise that total depravity means total inability, and that therefore some are chosen to life. They are born again before they believe the gospel. When you begin with that premise, then you have a group that is chosen and cannot unchoose. They irresistible grace. They must go forward and they will be saved. And you have a group that definitely will not be saved. That is double predestination. That is all of soteriological Calvinism, all of it. You can't get around that. And you can write books of 1,000 pages to pretend you're getting around it. There is no way around it.